I am very, very fortunate to have an opportunity to interview someone who's very busy, full-time math teacher, 15 years. I actually tutored his kids over 5 years ago. They are now 11, 14, and 16. His youngest was just 5. He has a great tutoring business called, I love this name, Invested Math Academy, LLC, offering I love how you write nurturing and exceptional math instruction so students can build confidence and accomplish their goals. And we talked earlier, how does math build confidence, and how in the world does math help you accomplish goals? If you're a math a parent or a student, you know those parents who
Yeah,
say, oh, I hate math, I don't want to know anything about math, and I don't need math. Don't you love
yeah,
it when kids and some of the parents, I've survived without math, but little do they know. I mean, if you have money and you spend money, you need math.
that's right.
If you cook and you need to, I've had to half the recipe, and if it's like 1/8 of a teaspoon or some weird measurement, how to round up, or just utilizing math. So first, let's share how you did not like math long ago and how you ended
Yeah,
up teaching math
Karen.
and then opening a math tutoring business when you hated math. That's like me opening, I don't know, starting to be a golf instructor.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Karen, and such a pleasure to see you. And thank you for all you've done also. So, yeah, I started off and I was not good at math. This is starting from elementary. I just was decent at it. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed pulling apart the puzzle, right, that math presents in problems. But as I got into high school, I just graduated with Algebra 2. I went to Leeward Community College from there. My goal was to be an engineer. And just, I didn't, I struggled the whole way. And it wasn't, if it wasn't for the adults in my life at that time, it was Jim Ogg and Emily Uribe and Clarice Keno, who are all faculty at Leeward Community College. If it wasn't for them supporting me and answering math problems and just prompting me, encouraging me to go on, I don't think I would have graduated with a degree in mathematics. So yeah, it just as I went through the journey and I found out that I was actually becoming successful, I started to believe in myself. And that's just where the whole Invested Academy came from. It was really from those adults that invested in me and took time to nourish me in my in where I was weak at in my math skills. And once they gave me that foundation and gave me the tools, and then I was able to use those tools to accomplish my math degree, it was just
The
I
world
was
seems to
so
open up, right?
yeah, that's right. That's what happened. And I said, I'm gonna take that leadership and I'm gonna use that in my philosophy and teaching and just in how I run my own business. So I'm so grateful for those people in my life. Yeah.
So any advice for parents who are so overwhelmed, right? They barely can master middle school math. Sometimes, I
Right.
mean, fifth, sixth grade is hard. What advice do you give parents who have a child struggling in math? The entire family hates math, but you need math.
Yes,
Why do we
absolutely.
need math? How does math help us not only in real life, but just to build our self-esteem? And what do
Sure.
parents do when they're totally, even basic math, the common core, a lot of us
Mm.
say do the traditional way, and I think you and I teach kids the common core, and then they also you teach like the quick way, or the right, you teach
Yeah,
just
right,
different
right.
different ways. But if you're a parent who just detests math, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, it is a universal language. It's used anywhere you go. It's very important to know the foundation, the basic math skills. And I mean, as we were talking before, right, Karen, I don't use calculus on a daily basis or partial differential equations, right? That you take your senior year in a math course or engineering course. We don't use that on a daily basis. But the carryover that math brings and the process of learning to figure out algorithms to solve problems, and also what my college teacher, my college professor said to our class one day, which was, you get good at math, you get good at everything else. And I remember that quote and I still live with it because, yeah, it really does help with just learning how to think, learning how to be disciplined and sit down and spend an hour trying to figure it out, being determined. All those things that math brings is just so important skills. And yes, you could do it with other subjects, but there's nothing like where you have to constantly sit and do these problems time and time and time again. And when a student, yes, I could totally relate to that with the struggling intermediate. I was there, trust me, I was so there, right? But you that's just the trials that you go through. And when you go through those trials and you come out of that, you're just such a stronger person. And I think that's what just we really need, right? We really need students to say, yes, this is where we're struggling at. I understand. You're there. I'm there. So now let's just improve ourselves and let's keep going. And it just, as they learn to overcome that, Karen, and they learn those skills, I mean, the carryover is just all over the place, right? You and I in our business, right? We use math all the time. For my students, my current students, it's just, I'm getting them ready for the SAT. And for my older students, my juniors and seniors, right? I'm getting ready. Oh, look, this is your next step. This calculus one is what we're looking at in order for us to get into the travel industry management at UH. So this is why we shoot for those goals, because we want to make something of ourselves, right? We want to see what education provides, and man, it's life changing. So that's what I try to plant the seed with. Why are we struggling now? Because look, we're struggling now because your fruit of your labor will produce a college degree in this. And so I want you to constantly struggle, but look, here's the insight.
Mhm.
And that a lot of times I found that psychology will help the student to be like, okay, yeah, great. That's why I'm learning. Okay, that's where I'm pushing. And so I kind of, when I'm tutoring or when I'm teaching, I go back and forth, to be like, okay, look, this is where you're going, right? All right,
Mhm.
let's go back at it. Let's study hard. I know it's frustrating. And that's what I do.
What do you tell kids who have no desire to go to college? The importance of just the basic math that's needed to just graduate from high school. How do you
Yeah,
instill that? Because sometimes they're, you know what? I've had a lot of kids now. Can I just take the GED? I
yeah,
show them
yeah,
the GED. When
yeah,
you're
yeah.
13, the seven and a
Right.
half hour test. I think it's much easier to get
Little.
a diploma.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
I
right,
mean, the
right.
test is probably not so bad, but the amount of time it takes, and if you're 13 and you're struggling with multiplication, can you
Yeah,
share why? And math is just so important, even through basic. What if they just take 2 years of wait? You just need 3 years, right? So what if, like you finished algebra?
yeah, that's right.
What?
I graduated with algebra 2 from Illinois Ag
Okay,
School.
and
And so
algebra 2
that's
is tough.
right. Algebra,
I stopped tutoring
right.
math after I encountered algebra 2 students.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
now I do kindergarten through like ninth grade.
Got
And
it.
so I
Right,
will
right.
refer all the hard math to you.
Thank you.
So
I'll take it.
how can you convince kids who
Yeah.
just don't want to do anything to do with numbers? Have you come across those students? If they are numbers and it could just be 275 times 3 and they're like, "Oh, there's numbers."
Yeah.
No
Got it.
numbers.
No.
What do you say?
That's a very good question. Well, as far as high school students, they know that they have to pass the class, right, in order for them to to not
Graduate.
take math at all, right? So those students, I just have to work with them and just, try to find some type of common ground where I could build off of and just start them like, okay, this is the reason why you need math, right? I haven't had those students that just didn't like to. Um,
I have those
but
students.
yeah.
What about math workshop?
Yeah, sure.
Do most schools now with DOE have math workshop? And can you describe, like, parents
Yeah,
who maybe have younger kids, that it is possible to have, well, I mean, yes, it will take the place of an elective, but the
yeah,
benefits of math workshop?
yeah. Just, math is a subject that you just can't get enough of. Just to know and have as much math as possible is just so important. And I get how students just don't want to be there. I get that. But I think if they just embrace the lesson of what our experience is and just saying, math does bring a lot of value to your life, then, um, then
They're more open to it?
they're more open to it. And then what I do, Karen, is I just tell them the stories. I've been doing this 15 years, and I've seen students that come from families that just immigrated, no English, parents that are working twice as hard, they don't see their kids. And
Mhm.
this student comes up to me, and that student who trusted me and said, Mr. Uson, you said if I do math, like it'll take me far. That student got The student I'm thinking of is applied to the Ivy Leagues, Karen, and was from Eva Beach. This student was applied to, we're talking about Harvard, Yale, and he was just, this is from the worst economically background, and said that, wow, is this what education will do? I'm going to embrace your wisdom and your experience, and I'll go ahead and try that. And so I was so proud of
Wow.
it. And he's chasing his dream right now. I have another student that was also, I've had the privilege of teaching in Eva Beach at Campbell for 10 years. And to see you know, when they hear their teacher saying something and listening to that and really embracing that. And when I say, you know what, kids, if I could do it and I know how many opportunities it gave me, I want you to see my sincerity here. I'm being genuine. If you just trust me with this, it'll take you far. And when they do listen, Karen, and they really work hard at it and have the support of teachers and their family, man, I have kids that are like working on the Space Force. There's kids at USC because they
Wow.
really embraced education, and it just takes them places, and they're from families that may not have the best finances, but they know that it'll bring them far. Their teacher said that they'll bring them far. And being a teacher with so much years of experience, I could say that to kids, right? And they'll be like, wow, thank you for just giving me a seed. And that's what I do after that. Is just I just water that and be like, all right, look, this is what this will do. And before you know it, they start believing and trusting in me. And then that's when we just grow to new heights. So
So what
that's
words can parents say instead of, can you just do that, I Excel assignment? Why are you getting a D in your exam? I mean, because that does the opposite of watering,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
think that
yeah, for sure.
creates more fear, more
Yeah.
resistance,
Oh,
and just
totally,
more
Karen.
hatred. So
Right,
what
right.
words can parents say when they do see that not so good grade, and they,
Got
instead
it.
of lecturing and
Yeah,
belittling,
right.
what do you suggest?
Man. Okay, well, my philosophy, Karen, and as we were talking about my mentors at Leeward, right? It comes down to a quote that I just come to love, and it says by Teddy Roosevelt. Pe- People don't know how much, people don't care how much until they know how much you care, right? And with the parent, with that child, I would just say, be supportive, maybe sit down with them, encourage them, and be with them to do the math problem together. And I know that's hard.
I was gonna
I
say, can you
know.
imagine a person who does not, because a lot of
Yeah,
times
I get
they
it.
say, well, my parents hate math, so I hate math.
Got it, got
And
it.
sitting there, you look at some letters and numbers and you think, I would rather, wash the dishes or
Sure.
do anything. What is a parent to do if
That's a
they
good
have that
question.
mindset?
There are free resources out there, right? There's always the University of YouTube. There's math
University of
apps.
YouTube has helped a lot. I love
There's
that.
math apps. If beyond that, then I would recommend to see their teacher. If they don't have uh, some support that way, I would visit the counselor and I would say, hey, what other options do you have? And it's nice because this is how I've networked myself, because they would contact the counselor. The counselor would then just say, hey, you know what, Jed, there's a kid that it's not communicating with the current teacher. Would you be willing? And there's a lot of teachers, including myself, that would be willing to help students, because that's what we want, right? We want our students to be supportive and so they could excel. And so those are some options. When those options are exhausted and you feel like there's no support, then a service like mine, Invested Math Academy LLC, would love to help you. But
How
try
can
those
people
free options.
contact you? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and sometimes I think admin is busy, teachers are busy, and when teachers don't respond, I mean, you guys are just so
Yeah, we work.
overwhelmed. I mean, you have
Yeah.
the virtual thing, and then you're going to have, right? You have the safety protocols and the whole,
Yes.
I just cannot imagine being in your shoes. But how can people reach you? And in a nutshell, what do you specifically provide? Are you doing all ages or mostly high school?
Yeah, well, I specialize in high school, right? So I do algebra. Right now, I'm with algebra through Trig. Those are the students that I currently have. And so I work with those students. I do have a third grader. No, I actually got a second grader now recently. So I've been working with second grade through trigonometry. And yeah, they could just reach out to me, and you call my cell at 808-428-1595, 808-428-1595, or you can email me at Jed Uson, JEDUSON, at iCloud.com, or it's on Google as Invested Math Academy LLC. So they just look at any of those.
And I'll have it when I post the video so you folks
Oh,
can
thank you so
see
much.
how to
Thank you.
contact Jed. And what can they expect? So you do hour
So
sessions, or
yes, yes, I do hour sessions. I prefer virtual, but all of my clients, no, most of my clients are, yeah, one-to-one, and we either meet at the town center of Mililani, or
oh,
I
you're
go
doing it at the town
to,
center?
yeah, I just kind of find a bench and we just
And
kind
hope
of,
that it doesn't rain.
you're right. When it does rain, go to Ninja Sushi and we meet
Exactly. I
outside.
would use the tables right outside of Straub. The
Yeah,
table
okay, there you
now that the
go.
tables are open, I just realized that. Oh,
So
you gave me an idea.
Karen,
Yeah, because sometimes we would
awesome.
do Jack in the Box and McDonald's, and
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
realize that Mililani Town
Town
Center
center, it's
tables are
convenient.
open.
It's the center of Mililani, so that's where we kind of just meet, and we have fun. We eat, and well,
And
we
then
do
it
math.
makes math fun.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So
Wow. And so what
yes,
is the most difficult math challenge that you experience? Say, I know it's different for younger kids, but your
yes,
average teenage child,
okay.
I know it varies, but what do you think is a very difficult math concept
The
to
difficult
comprehend?
math concept. Wow.
I know there's a lot, but like the first thing that
Yeah,
pops into your mind. I know a lot of it, like word problems, when there's Jed is
yeah.
5 years older
Oh,
than
yeah,
twice
yeah,
the,
right, for
oh,
sure.
I don't like that, or the time.
That's
7 years
right.
from now, if you're traveling and you're thinking, oh, the step by step by step.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
do
yeah,
you go
yeah.
through, is it word problems or is it some,
Sure. Word problems are always a struggle, right? Properties of exponents, as I'm dealing with algebra
oh
students now.
yes, those
That's
negatives
yeah, right. The negative
and imaginary
exponents, right?
numbers.
Imagine
My students are like, why do
right.
we even have to learn about imaginary numbers? Or the
That's
negative
right.
exponents is if it's on the negative, you have 2, -3, then you have to like drop it to the bottom. If it's on the bottom, you drop it, you move it to the
Right, right,
top,
right,
and
right,
there.
right,
So do
right.
you just go step by step, and what is your like magic? I know some of my
Oh,
students are
magic.
like, yeah, what is your magic?
Oh, I guess there's so much different tools that I've learned over the years, right? And so I just try to Karen, there is no magic formula.
Well, I
There's
think you have, like, we will not explain what the headless man is, but
yes.
you come up with very creative strategies to help
Yes.
students master the most difficult math
Okay.
concepts, right? When you
Yeah.
think about it.
So I do a lot of spiral reviews. I do a lot of formative assessments.
What is
So
a
when
spiral
we
review?
spiral review is all it is reviewing past concepts. So I'm constantly looping, and so I'm constantly using math jargon. I'm using the vocabulary. I'm retouching on old concepts to make sure that the retention stays high. And so I constantly do that.
You know
And
what? That's the magic, because this is what I hear. Oh, I
mm,
learned that so long ago. I forgot. So I
okay,
tell students that's like me saying, I learned I failed my letters. I mean, that's in kindergarten.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't remember
right,
my letters,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you
yeah,
need to, right? It really bounces off your multiplication. And then in high
yes,
school, when they go, oh, I got fractions. Well, then
right,
try 1.5x plus this
yeah,
times
for
this. And then,
sure, Karen,
oh, that's fractions. So
right,
that is different. A lot
yeah,
of math teachers, it's just what we learn in fourth quarter. And then I'm like,
right.
okay, oh, that was first quarter. I
That's
just,
right.
they kind of
That's
like
right.
throw it out of
Right.
their
That's
brain.
correct. Right. So, and research has it where if you constantly do that, then the student doesn't have to relearn it, right? Because once it's done and you forget it, then the longer you don't touch on it, you have to go back and you have to relearn it. And then that's just wasted, in my opinion, that's kind of like wasted time, right? So part of the magic is that experience that I've been using for the years, but it's constantly I'm reviewing, spiral reviewing. I'm constantly giving formative assessments, and I'm using that with the content that we currently have. And of course, I try to use psychology into it, and um,
Can you share as we close, how do you use psychology in math?
yeah, for sure. It's I remember a senior teacher of mine when I was at Campbell, and I said to that senior teacher, his name is Jamie Davis, and I said, Jamie, students just say they love your class. Can you tell me what's one thing that you would really like to tell me about, right? That could give a young, excuse me, teacher like myself some knowledge. He thought about it and he said, you know, that psychology class I took in college was my best class. And I said, what? And that helps you with your math class. So then I just took off, right? He planted a seed. I just started watering it and I was like, what is this he's talking about? And I learned that endorphins, dopamine, and cortisol all affect the brain. And when I'm trying to work with students, I try to keep hormones high because those fun hormones are the hormones that actually help retain the brain's content, right? And as they have fun and they're enjoying that, they're mixing mathematics with fun. Man, that's just such a
That is the
great
magic,
experience.
mixing
Yes.
fun
So,
and math. And
yes,
so
right.
I do like little fun memory games in between. So
Right.
if you
Right.
do, right, like brain building exercises, and then
Yes.
you realize that if you do make it fun, they're laughing. And then don't you find yourself saying this? You see, math can
Right.
be fun. They don't even realize it. We're doing math and you're
That's
laughing,
right. That's right, Carrie.
but it
That's
is
right.
changing the mindset of math, because a lot of
Yes.
people, whenever you
Have
say
that.
math, it's like you're
Right.
conjuring up this alien that will
Right.
viciously
That'll
attack
hurt
you.
you, right?
Yeah.
So, Karen, that hormone that has that negative, that connotation is cortisol.
Yeah.
And I've learned, right? Cortisol actually,
Cortisol with that stress producing, and
Right,
that causes
right.
anxiety, that
Yes,
causes fear, paralysis when you take a
right.
test.
That's
You
right.
know it, and then you're like, and then as soon as you turn that paper in, oh, now I
Right,
know it, because
right,
that cortisol has, right,
right.
left. But
Right, right. And Karen, that's exactly what I found out. I found out when it stops higher order thinking, I was
yes,
like, that's exactly what math is. It is higher order thinking. And if I produce that in a tutor session, if I produce that in a math class, my students will have that fight or flight response based on that
yes,
cortisol that's released. And there you go. I lost it. I lost it. The
you
kids
have.
can't
You know what? If
focus.
you
The
make it fun,
kids,
like I had a statistics class
mm,
at HPU, and guess what? They used M&Ms. We
sweet.
loved statistics.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, all the girls are in love with him. So we're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to class. We're gonna eat M&Ms. We're gonna
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
him, and it was
Yeah.
just like.
Right.
And then I
Right.
had
Right.
another class, and it was one of those auditoriums at UH. But he
Okay.
wore a flashing
Oh, no way.
cap.
Got it.
He looked like Kenny
Oh,
Loggins. He was like very,
oh, no
very
way.
animated. And we thought, wow, we just love History
Love the class.
151.
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
So, I mean, with
Right.
you, I think once you emotionally, isn't it? The emotional
For
connection with your
sure.
students,
Yes.
reduce cortisol, and then you increase
Increase the other.
endorphins, and you just think, oh my gosh, math is not so horrible.
Yes, correct. And once we get that, Karen, that's it. That's it.
That's it.
We could bring our kids to where they need. And that's what happened to me with those three adults. They influenced me so much. They were so supportive. And I was like, man, I'm gonna use that experience to help other students that suffer kind of like how I did. So
Well, to
yeah.
major, yeah, look at this, guys. Jed, who hates math, is now a math expert. You chose
Oh,
engineering to be, I mean, to
yes.
begin with, just choosing that lot of math, and then
A
you
lot of that.
decide. Yeah, when I first met Jed, I said, so did you like math? He goes, oh no, I
Yeah.
hated math. But you majored in math? Yeah, I majored in math.
Yeah. That's right. Kind of weird, yeah.
But you are proof that someone who hates math, who struggled from your formative years,
Yeah, for
now you're
sure.
teaching, I mean, higher math concepts that I would never even. I mean, I love math, but after, I think I'm going to stop after Algebra 1. I've
Yeah.
decided I felt very incompetent, and that's why, when I meet people like you, I have other tutors who hire math. That is just your passion.
Mm,
So I would love, like, I'll refer you all the higher math.
thank you,
It sounds like
Karen.
you love. Do you like the younger
Yeah,
students
I mean,
too?
I'm open to all of them because I just want them to
Because
be
you like math.
successful. Yeah, yeah, I love math. I love seeing kids successful. That's what I just love seeing. It's such a good thing for the community, right? If you bring up a kid and they're successful, then that energy just continues to pass on.
And then it
So
perpetuates, right? Because then they will
absolutely.
have that confidence, and that'll probably influence people around them.
Yeah,
Wow,
absolutely.
Jed, thank you so much. Sorry for taking up a lot of your time. I took up like
Not at
an
all.
hour
It was
prior to
fun,
pressing
Karen. I loved
record.
it. I loved it.
Well, enjoy the rest of your spring break. I will let
Thank
you know
you.
when this post, and I just really appreciate it. Go ahead and call other places to have your office space, so
Mm,
that,
will do.
yeah, and
Yeah.
watch for Jed. I think he's so busy now, so I would suggest people who, don't you think that they need it during the summer? What I
Yeah,
think is a
absolutely.
misconception is it's summer, take a break from academics.
Math is a language. If you don't practice your second language, it's so easy to forget. As you keep it, you will only grow with it. And so, yes, you need to stay with it.
What a great way to end. Thanks,
Mm.
Jed. Say
Thank you,
hi to
Karen.
Lily and your kid, the rest of your kids, and Robin.
Yes, will do.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Karen. Bye bye.
Bye.